Right. This is a video Monosomniac linked to me, and it says my first video, life as a lonely man over 40 with mild autism. It's mild, all right, because he sounds like the average guy, really. Now, before we get into this guy tells his story. I just want to bring you down to this comment from this user. I don't have Asperger's or whatever. I'm married and have kids, but I still feel so alone every day. I'm listening to you now while I'm lying in bed with tears in my eyes. I wish life wasn't so hard. Thanks because your video helps me feel less alone. So this is a married man he got the golden wife and children. It didn't make any difference. So this is what this guy's talking about. What's his name? Aaron. Aaron is talking about the male experience. Okay. There is no rescue by some golden woman out there. Okay. So let's get in, see what he has to say.
Hey, welcome to my channel. So this is my first video, so bear with me because I'm kind of winging it here. I'm going to be somewhat going off the script I wrote and somewhat winging it. So,
Well, that's probably why your video is so successful then, right? Because you're speaking from the heart.
um, I finally decided to take the plunge into this space after years of watching other similar content. But I've not really.
He represents a lot of men out there. You notice there's over 8,000 comments, guys, and he's got almost a 500,000 views, right? This is the experience of the common man.
I've been seeing anyone speaking from my age group, and I'm 44.
Oh, by the way, everyone, if you like my video, would you share it? Because I don't get 500,000 views. YouTube, they'll allow men to come on and cry on their shoulders. They will not allow men to speak about actual solutions. They will not look around and say, look at this married man down here. Obviously, marriage and children isn't what it's propagandized to be, right? So understand that.
There used to be one by the name of Monday F.A. Monday, and I really wish he left his channel up because it was very articulate.
I suspect he got himself a girl, pal, and then he packed up.
Very relatable. And he articulated this struggle better than anyone I've ever seen since. So anyway, so for all intents and purposes, I've pretty much been going through life mostly alone. I've pretty much always been a loner, thanks largely to autism spectrum.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, dude. You're alone because you're a guy. Right? That's it. You're a guy.
Going through life alone is kind of stagnating my growth as a person, I feel. When you don't have the experiences of growing.
Well, it's not about your growth. It's just your experiences are loneliness. It hurts you. It's damaging to your well-being, right? There is no growth. You're 44. Our growth maxes out at 25. After that, we start aging and dying, right?
And learning from relationships when you're younger. It's really hard to be a confident, well-adjusted, romantically successful adult, especially one heading into middle age.
Well, for you to make a video like this shows me you've got a lot of well-adjustment, actually. You're just a man facing his own loneliness and speaking about it.
I mean, it's not that I've never had girlfriends at all, but to have reached my 40s without even one serious long-term cohabiting relationship.
Okay, so you had girlfriends, right? And these women just aren't interested. It's not because something wrong with you. The ladies just aren't interested.
It's not something most people really understand because, you know, let's be honest, relationships just happen naturally for most people.
Oh, by the way, all you guys who talk with Chad, right? Pump and dump, right? This guy has had girlfriends, right? But he wants the long-term relationship. This is what men really want. They want the long-term relationship.
But thanks to my huge setback of autism spectrum growing up, I didn't develop the confidence, social skills, and experience in my youth to build upon to to become a desirable romantic prospect in adulthood.
Again, you're just telling us that women don't want to be with guys because autistic girls get boyfriends all the time, Aaron.
I'm now a very inexperienced 44-year-old in a complete joke of a dating market.
Well, I like how people describe dating as a market because that's what it is. It's the selling market. You're buying and selling. The relationships between men and women are one of prostitution. That's true, right? And it's no more of a joke than it ever was, Aaron.
It's just also way harder to meet single people when you get older, let alone make friends, because there's just fewer single people in general. And
I disagree. How could your channel do so well if there's fewer and fewer single people? When you talk about single, are you excluding the divorced men, Aaron? So when a guy gets divorced, is he not single?
no one really has the time or energy to accept new people into their long established.
You mean desire, not time or energy. If you like someone, it takes zero energy to have them in your life. People include people they like into their life easily. It's like two magnets pulling at each other, right? So what you're really saying is people don't want new friends. People are antisocial in general. They get their little tight circles and they don't want to bother anymore.
Friend groups. I mean, it's not to say that I haven't made.
And notice friends is actually more important to men than the woman, right? Because you know something, I have a large family. We still get together and talk, and I don't give a shit. Aaron, I don't give a shit if I ever get with a woman. Matter of fact, no, I'm taking that back. I do give a shit. I don't want one because that married man down here let us know what marriage exactly is, right? I see it all the time, right? I know what relationships are, and I don't want one, but I do want people to talk to. And that's where you're suffering, is because men don't like other men. So as soon as they get some woman to orbit around, they kick out all other men out of their lives, right? So you're not, in a way, you're not missing anything with friends. Like if your friends can't wait to ditch you, they're not really friends, are they?
Any friends in recent years since I've had some success with Meetup, but no one's in my boat.
You've had friends success with meetups. In other words, women will come and waste a man's time. She'll sniff out your status. Your status is zero. You don't make a lot of money. You're not famous. You're not known. And so they sniff out your status and decide this guy's no good because they don't care about you as a person, right? And some will just waste your time. Just say, I'm bored. I'll waste this guy's time, right? That's what the dating market is.
Almost everyone is coupled up and they don't really have time for hanging out.
Really? That just shows you they don't like single men, right? If they're coupled out, like couples will hang with other couples because the women don't want any surplus men around because they don't like it men anyway, even their husbands, right? Like this guy down here, the husband down here, right? Why is he so sad? User handle. Because his wife doesn't really like him. He's a lonely person while married, right?
So I think there comes a point in time when doing everything alone just makes everything seem incredibly pointless. You know, I mean, what's the point of traveling?
I agree with this, everyone, because I remember when I was a little boy and I had close male friends. That is when we were all still human, right? Puberty makes us subhuman. It didn't matter what we did. Whatever we did, it was fun because we did it together. So I agree. So this is what the average man really has to suffer through in adulthood or even post puberty, really.
For example, when you have no one to share the experience with, you have no one to make the memories with. I mean, going out to enjoy the simple pleasures of life in general just get old when you're always alone.
Well, you see, dude, as this married guy down here says, I'll keep pointing him out. He has exact same experiences as you. He has the married and the children. You know, the guys brag up, right? I'm married and have kids, right? Experiences getting old is just uh it's just a case of getting old. You know, life, there's nothing new under the sun. What can I say? This is something you got to get over as you age because, what can I say? There's no alternative, right? But you're putting it on the idea that it grows old just because you don't have someone to share it with. Well, that's just not true.
There's just really nothing novel anymore. The excitement is gone. There's no one waiting for me at home. There's never anyone besides a few relatives to celebrate birthdays and Christmas.
But you have a few relatives, that's good. You've got somebody. You're not utterly alone. I'm in the same boat. I have relatives. I've got a lot of them, luckily. So I'm better off than you. But I mean, this is what can I say? Uh, uh, my position is 10 times better than a married man. 10 times better. And you should come to the conclusion that yours is better as a single man. Just stop wasting your time trying to gain validation from people who don't like you.
Christmases with, and the hope of finding the love of my life just grows dimmer by the year. It's become something in the realm of fantasy to me.
Well, it is fantasy. The love of your life is a fantasy, dude. The world is full of they're full of divorces. Divorce is the standard. No one's doing anything wrong. The women just don't want to be with the men at the very beginning. So it is a fantasy.
Or something like winning the Powerball. You know, when you're young, you at least have the forced social environments like school and maybe your jobs to meet potential dates. And then
Yeah, people basically have to be forced to socialize. That's true. But the fact that you need those arenas to get people together shows you that people don't like one another for the most part.
maybe meeting others through your social circle. But when you're well past the age when people are settled down and established and you don't have that, The option
Settled down, established. That means the guy's built up his career enough to bribe a woman into his life. Then he orbits around her and calls out all other people. Right.
options are really slim, and it feels like you missed the boat. As an aging
Yeah, you dodged a bullet.
bachelor, what are my options now, realistically? Dating apps haven't worked for me. I've spent hundreds of dollars and maybe a couple of years total on the three major dating apps. And I got one date, one date out of it that went nowhere.
Yeah, this is what I want to point out, guys. People talk about real life, right? The reason guys go to dating apps because real life uh, doesn't work to start with. So the dating apps also don't work, right? So you should come to a conclusion about this.
There just wasn't anything. And of course, she unmatched me right afterward, which
Yeah, of course, dude, because your status is zero. Women scope out men for their status, right, Aaron? And you have not. Look, if you realistically want to get with a girl, you go for a high-paying job. Your biggest problem is you don't want to admit that. You don't want to admit that that's what women are attracted to. You go on there and say, I want the person who will actually love me for myself. And she doesn't exist. That is a fantasy, as you say. So you're causing your own mental stressing, right? Your own mental stresses is being caused by you right now.
didn't surprise me at all. And not one date has come through 6 odd years of meetup either.
Oh, yeah, and that's real life guys. All these guys who come in, these copers who say, Tinder isn't real life, dude. Well, the real life is no different, right? Being online doesn't change anything, or being offline doesn't change anything. People are people, right?
I struck out 3 times. I mean, at least I tried, right? Um, I did make some friends through there, like I said earlier, but that's about it.
You made some friends there? That would be a giant leap forward to me. That's real progress. Because if I have friends, I'd be meeting them as much as I can, because then you get to engage with people, Aaron. Aaron, you're proving me right. So you met friends there, and you could actually go and hang with them and talk with them. But you are as antisocial as the next guy. You just want this woman to validate your existence.
But it has got me more active. I am putting myself out there. So there's that.
But, putting yourself out there and being active doesn't matter to a guy who's got it. Like if you're a high status guy, you live in a penthouse and you throw parties, you don't have to go anywhere. People just show up. They want to be around you. You know, putting yourself out there is just make work projects for guys who are low status.
I've had to watch my younger siblings and cousins pair off and start families. And 2 of my 4 younger brothers are married with families of their own.
Hey, I got 3 brothers. They've all done the same. I don't have any envy for them at all. At all. Dude, none.
Another is engaged with a new family, and the youngest is in a relationship now. I know I should be happy for them, and I am as the big brother, but
Not me. I just think my brothers have no rights in their marriages. and something terrible can happen to them at any time.
I can't help but feel pathetic as the big brother and as the oldest for still being alone. I'm
Why, you look like you have a nice place. You're living alone. So, dude, you've made it. All this space I see is this is a beautiful space. Do you rent this all by yourself? So you've got a job, right? You got your own living space. You could do whatever you want in it. To me, this is golden time. To me, this is pinnacle. You know, you've got it made.
still stuck in bachelorhood many years after the norm in the Western world. My ring finger has,
What's wrong with bachelorhood, right? What's that old expression? I forget it now, but the eternal bachelor. In the past, when guys had status, they could remain bachelors and still be happy, right? Because they still had social circles, right? And they didn't want to give up their freedom to marriage. They saw what marriage was.
never had a ring on it, and I honestly don't know if it ever will at this point. And it's becoming harder and harder to even see a future worth looking forward to.
Well, dude, that's everyone. Look, how many married men go through a midlife crisis? About 100%. The midlife crisis always comes. It doesn't matter what your relationships are. We all face old age and death.
In the normal course of things, at least a family or a partner gives a man purpose and drive. You know, he wants.
Well, so does a whip, dude. So does a whip. You know, if this slave driver wasn't beating the crap out of me, I'd actually sit and relax and do nothing.
To get that better job and improve his career prospects.
Dude, you've got a place to yourself. You don't need a better job. Better job means you need it to bribe the woman to either come into your life or not to leave her. That's all a better job means to a man.
Put in that overtime to afford those vacations in that bigger, nicer home in that nicer neighborhood. Merely supporting myself, though, and living alone in basic small apartments, that's just not enough.
Well, that's sad. I'd love that. I'd love the stability of knowing I've got a small apartment and I don't have to worry about paying the bills. Like I know that my regular paycheck will pay them easily, and I have excess money to do what I like. Run down to the coffee shop, have a coffee, enjoy the little things in life. That'd be heaven to me.
No matter what I do to cope and distract myself, I'm just existing. There's nothing to make this endless wage slaving feel worth it. It's just all so empty and hollow at the end of the day.
By the way, women don't feel this way, dude, whether they're married or single. Because look, I know this is bashing the girls, but they don't have an inner life. Midlife crises are strictly a male experience, right? Cosmic horror was made by a man. It's this understanding that your life is going to end, that there's you've got to make your own meaning in life. That's a man's mindset, right? This is our concern.
You know, I buy my toys, you know, electronics, music gear. I make music, but I'm going to keep that separate from this channel, and I hope you understand.
So you actually have the freedom of a bachelor to have these extracurricular activities that a woman's not going to shut you down. Like if you had a wife and kids, you couldn't just bring out the guitar whenever you felt like it, could you? Or maybe your wife would needle you and joke about it, like, "Oh, there you are. You're going to be a big star someday," because they like doing that. That's what your loved ones do.
It all just feels like a cope because at the end of the day, I'm alone. I crawl into bed alone. There's no one there when I'm stressed out, to talk to.
Notice how easily you can do this video, though. And that looks like a fairly expensive mic. So you have money to buy the stuff you want. And you can make these videos whenever you have spare time. Try doing that with a wife and kids, or to be more accurate, a wife. Because if you were a single father, you could put the kids to bed, right?
I just have my four walls, and to vent out to the world anonymously on the internet. As time
But you're not anonymous. You're showing your face, and is this your real name, Aaron? So you're not really anonymous, are you?
passes, it just becomes increasingly increasingly unlikely that much is really gonna change for me. Not that I'm not trying to do something about it, because I have been. I I work out.
Well, the sad thing is, Aaron, people only care about results, right? All this go and work at this or improve yourself, that's just out of resentment. They want men working. They want men perpetually in that hamster wheel. These people don't like men, and it's done out of resentment.
3 or 4 days a week, and I go hang out with people on the weekends sometimes, but
Okay, so you hang out with people. So you've got a life, dude.
and that's good for my mental health and well-being. But I'm getting older, I'm getting less desirable, and
Dude, you were never desirable in the first place, right? Because otherwise you would have been snatched up in your 20s. And this isn't a jibe against you. Women don't even want to be with men. They're attracted to status. All you're saying is when you were in 20s, you didn't have status. And now that you're older, you haven't built up enough.
it just feels like the future holds nothing but declining health, declining looks, and even
Well, that is old age. I agree. That's 100% terrible. I feel terrible that I'm going to get sick from old age and die. It's true. And there's nothing we can do about it. But even that's second. You mentioned it earlier. It's the fact that there's no new experiences and everything, all the enjoyment of life gets less and less. That hurts more than growing old and dying, believe it or not. And that has nothing to do with dating or having a woman in your life. Marriage doesn't change that whatsoever.
further decreasing dating opportunities. It's been 25 years since I became an adult, since I graduated high school. A quarter century of going up mostly alone. All these years with hardly any success with women, while everyone else dated and had their fun and settled down.
Look, dude, before we go any further, I just want to point out that this has nothing to do with your autism. Let me show you something. This is my compatriots channel. Mr. Pink and Yellow. He did a video on this guy, Feingold. Look at Feingold. The man has almost no personality. He's not a good-looking man. He's older. He's balding. He's all the things that guys claim stop from getting the girl. But he has status as a grand master chessman. And so he got himself a new girl. So Aaron just become somebody, officially, right? Get a high paying job. That's what you want it for, right? To get the girl. It has nothing to do with autism, okay?
You know, it feels like the majority of my prime years are gone.
Well, they are. You're middle aged. We are going to grow and die, grow old and die. That's true.
Sand through my fingers. What do I have to show for all these years? I've been too embarrassed to look up and reach out to old classmates because they're going to ask the usual questions.
Not me. Not me, dude. Aaron, I'm pushing 60. Won't be long before I'll be 58. And I do not regret missing out on what these married men are going through. My classmates give me the question, I'll be glad to say, said, nope, I never got married. I never got suckered into that. I lucked out and I was too low status and I didn't get the girl. And I was like, whew, dodged a bullet. And then I would talk about something interesting. And if they don't go for that, they're too brain dead to be interesting people. And I don't want to know them anyway.
And what the fuck am I going to tell them?
Well, your friends must be some boring because that's some really basic shit. Like, all you're talking about is your status. Did you get enough money to bribe some woman into your life? I'm married with kids is the most boring thing you could talk about, right? So when you meet up with these friends, why don't you talk about something that's interesting, that really moves you?
I often wonder what I get out of bed every day for. Sometimes it's a real struggle when I know that things aren't really getting better in ways that matter.
Well, you know something? When I get up in the morning, I enjoy seeing the sunlight come through. I put on the coffee and watch that steam off the cup come off and the aroma, the flavor. Then I throw some bird seed out and watch the birds come and pick it. Say, there's life out there. Look at those blue jays and crows snatch up those seeds, right? And I look out in the greenery. It's great. You've got to enjoy the little things in life, right? And it's great when you don't have someone saying, okay, you got to get up and you got to do this, that, and the other thing. This married guy down here, what he leaves out is chore talk. Aaron, do you realize that married life or just relationships, period, for men is mainly chore talk? What we have to do today. In other words, what you have to do. Chore talk and trivial talk, right? That's what it is. And you're not missing out in anything.
And are less likely to with each passing day and week and month and year. I just go slave away and then come home. And that's my life. And no one.
Well, having a woman in your life wouldn't change the slaving away, would it? That married guy down here, I'm going to keep bringing it back to him. I'm married and have kids, and I still feel so alone every day. I'm listening to you now while lying in bed with tears in my eyes. The woman changes nothing. Well, I should say nothing. It doesn't make any positive change in your life. Just that this married guy now he can't do what you do, right? He never has the freedom in his own space. He doesn't have a space of his own. It belongs to his woman. And he just lives there.
And waiting for me. There's no "what should we do for dinner, honey" conversations.
Wow, thank God. That you look, Aaron, you can't know how much I'd want to avoid those disgusting, endless conversations about what we're going to have for dinner.
There's no cuddling up at night.
Well, there's a lot of sexless marriages out there, so married men don't get that either.
There's no warmth next to me in the bed.
So you get the bed all to yourself. I love that. I have a double bed. I'm in it by myself. I love it. I love having all that space to my name.
I'm told to work on myself. And like I said, I have been.
Yeah, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Guys get that all the time. Right.
But it's never good enough. I run this endless self-improvement treadmill.
If women liked men, you wouldn't need to improve. Like, what kind of improvement do women do before you want to be with them, right? None. You want to be with women. So, Aaron, why can't you just admit women don't want to be with men? It's not just you, all of us. Just admit that and just say, hey, is that worth worrying my life over?
Wondering at what point I'll be worthy of love. At what point I'll be good enough for a woman.
Well, that's just it, right? Uh, we aren't good enough for women because women don't actually love us. That's true. So, I mean, you've got to get on with your life.
I'm never good enough. And the thing is, even if a girl is interested in me, I may or may not pick up on it, thanks to the aforementioned autism spectrum.
Dude, that has nothing to do with your autism, or it may not, I should say. Because women are very, very vague with their signals for plausible deniability. So if you go for it, they can say, "Oh, I didn't mean that. I wasn't flirting there." And it's not a sadism, because women enjoy rejecting men more than flirting with them. That's the thing you don't seem to understand. Women don't like men, so they enjoy rejecting men, right?
I may not pick up on the choosing signals. And if I do, I'm seldom able to actually maintain interest. I mean, what do I talk about? I don't even know what to talk about.
Well, obviously, you talk about the stuff that interests you, and if they're bored with that, that shows you what relationships with the opposite sex is really about, dude. They're boring people.
I don't know how to escalate things. I don't know. I never learned to flirt. Just, basic shit I should have learned in my young adulthood that I didn't. Now
Dude, how do these autistic women, there are autistic women, right? How do they get their guys? How do they flirt? Nothing. The guy does everything, right? He initiates. So you just have to be brave enough to initiate. What can I say? I mean, the guy has to do everything.
I'm trying to catch up now. at 44. Just wondering if it's...
You were never behind. You were never behind.
If, I'm just wondering if it's a fool's errand.
It is a fool's errand because you're searching for a unicorn. You just aren't willing to admit that what you're looking for doesn't exist. As long as you're like this, you will be forever damaging your own mental health.
You know, I can't help but think that sometimes. I'm not able to get my physical or emotional needs met. I mean, can you imagine going multiple years without so much as feeling a girl's hand in yours?
Well, that's a lot of guys' experiences. What can I say? Hmm.
No validation.
Thank you for admitting that. This is about validation from the opposite sex. Thank you.
No one telling me she loves me. Not hearing those words. Life just feels so dull. So dull.
Oh, here's another thing, Aaron. A lot of women will say, I want you to tell me that I love me, right? I just want to hear it again. She doesn't initiate it. She doesn't come up to her man and say, I love you, and hope he'll respond. She'll just want him to do it to her because it's not an equal relationship, right? It's not one of equality.
Dull and empty. I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired of being alone. I don't know how much longer I can do it. You know, I've heard all the usual platitudes, and they're usually coming from a place of, good intentions. They're usually well-meaning.
No, the platitudes aren't well-meaning. When they give you platitudes, they're saying, I don't give a shit about your position. I got mine, you get yours. I don't give a shit about you, right?
You know the ones, variations of, there's someone out there for everyone. I'm sure she'll come along. You'll find someone.
Find someone means you'll be able to bribe one. That's what it means, Aaron. No, thank you. I'm glad I'm single.
Or my absolute number one favorite. Love yourself first.
Yeah, that's the most insulting one in the first place. They put the women's lack of desire for men onto men. It's gaslighting.
All the while, watching relationships just come about
If you loving yourself was good enough, you wouldn't need to get with the girl in the first place, right?
naturally for other people. And the people offering these platitudes are invariably in relationships. They didn't struggle like I have. They don't know my struggles.
These guys who got in relationships, they struggled. They struggled to get there, to land the girl, and to keep the girl. And divorce is at an all-time high. So no matter what these guys do, it doesn't keep the woman. And this married guy down here tells you it doesn't matter. He's alone, even though all his struggles kept the girl there.
They don't know the struggles I've had all my life. You know, I hear that I shouldn't give up. And I haven't. I haven't, not quite yet. But why should I really expect things to just suddenly turn around for me now as a nearly middle-aged bachelor? With the relationship and dating experience of somebody young enough to be my kid. I mean, I just feel like that's going to be a red flag for a lot of women.
Dude, there are all kinds of middle-aged women, or even in their old age, going on Tinder and all these dating apps. They they get attention from men. Has nothing to do with their age. Women are desired by men. That's it. And a lot of these women, they waste men's time because they're not there for the men. They're there to gain attention from that men, and then they enjoy rejecting men. That's what you're going to get from a relationship.
Honestly. This is a weird zone to be in. It's like being stuck at the life stage of someone just starting off in young adulthood. Yet to people that age, I'm an old dude. But to people my own age, I'm basically an alien because we're just at such different life stages.
What are you talking about, Aaron? Your life stage is exactly what theirs is. Really, you're a middle-aged man. You've got your own apartment. You got your job. You probably have a car for all I know. You're at their life stage. You're considering yourself a loser because you didn't dodge, you didn't get this magical unicorn into your life, right? When you should be looking at it and saying, I've dodged a bullet.
You know, marriage, maybe even they're on their second or third, kids, parent-teacher meetings, little league.
That sounds like a lot of work and a lot of boredom to me, dude.
A home and home upkeep, vacations, just
Some more home upkeep. That's more work.
very different concerns than I have. I mean, how do you even
Vacations is to keep the woman happy, by the way, dude. They're not for you.
begin to relate to that? I mean, I'm living a completely different reality. A completely different reality.
Hey, vacations. Did you ever see the Home Alone movie? How'd they paint the vacation? There's a lot of stress and struggle and keeping time, getting on a plane, a lot of tiring travel to hang around in an hotel. To me, I mean, the best vacations is when you're just home by yourself and relaxing in your own space and really doing what you want and having stress free.
Try to imagine being over 40.
Here's an idea, Aaron. Here's an idea. Why don't you adopt children? Well, I know that societies don't want men to have children, right? You probably could never do that. But it's not the children in your life, small children, if you could adopt them, they would add a lot to your life and you wouldn't need a woman, right? You'd have purpose. You could buy them gifts, you could celebrate their birthdays, you could take them to school. It'd be great. And you wouldn't have the stress of the woman giving you endless chore talk. It's funny, guys never think about that.
And you still haven't even had your first serious relationship. Maybe a few short-term girlfriends here and there over the years.
So you had some short-term girlfriends? Okay. So you're actually a success in life. You succeeded.
Girls who broke things off after a couple of weeks, a few months, maybe longer.
Yeah, they were wasting your time, dude. They realized your status wasn't going to increase, right? So they ditched you. But they were never there for you anyway.
They got bored of you or whatever. But never
They
anything.
got bored of you. Thank you. That's where do you think all these divorces come from? from these successful marriages, right? The woman's around. What I had a video where I showed how Hugh Jackman's wife is ditching him. She's older than him, and she's separating him because she got bored of him. And Hugh Jackman's one of the most successful people that ever existed, you know?
Thing you consider Bring Home to Meet the Family series?
So you're basically saying to your so-called loved ones that you're not a loser. But they're if they actually love you, if your family loves you, they don't care if that you're married or not, right?
Years pass between them with nothing but empty spaces on the mental calendar.
I mean, what does that say about people? That people who've known you all your life, remember you as a child, have contempt for you or see you as pathetic if you're not validated by someone of the opposite sex.
And watching your siblings pair off while you go home to your tiny empty apartment where the silence just gets absolutely deafening.
That's funny because to me, the silence would be comforting and relaxing. You know something? Because, like I said, I have a large family, and dealing with people is tough. You know, everything has to be a struggle to get things going or keep things going. You can truly. What's that expression? You're never truly yourself until you're alone, right? So I love my alone time.
And where it never truly feels like home. Because why would it? It's just you. Seeing your former classmates on social media with their spouses and families and homes, some of them with grown children.
Why is it so special about their children? Look, children are only great when they're small because they're there for you. When they grow up, they leave you. There's all kinds of parents that say, I wish my child would call. Once they're adults, they move on. They forget mom and dad.
While you sit in your apartment waiting for your frozen dinner to be done in the microwave, just like,
Well, dude, I mean, this is another thing. I can bake a potato. I mean, the frozen dinner, that's up to you if you don't want to go grocery shopping and eat healthy. There's all kinds of guys who get into cooking, right?
like you did 20 years ago. Because you can't be motivated enough to learn to cook. Because it's hard to muster the effort to cook for one person. One day you're 23 and wondering when it's going to happen for you. And then the next thing you know, you turn around and you're staring down middle age.
Yeah, but all middle-aged men feel that way, whether they're married or not. That's why we all have midlife crisis. Okay, I've gone through the whole video, and I think I get proper answers to this guy's, uh, you know, dialogue. I think this is the proper answer guys have to be given and what they have to hear to go on with their lives. Because you know something, as this married guy down here said, that was not the answer, was it? It wasn't the answer to the question. So, I mean, what can I say? Oh, my mouse is dead. I'll be right with you. Change this up. New battery. There we go. Now, like I said, that's my response to this, guys. I'm looking forward to the rest of my life, everyone. Aaron, I'm looking forward to the rest of my life, because I've decided to go on with it and enjoy the little things in life and get by the best I can. That's the best advice you'll ever get. Thank you.